Whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. And roll call, please.
Yes. Do we have Commissioner Benson?
Present.
Okay, Vice Chair Graham,
Here.
Commissioner Bozo,
Here.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
and Commissioner Ramirez.
Here.
And flag salute, please. And Sam, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And next, the secretary's report, please.
Yes, the meeting packet was posted on Thursday, March 14th, 2020.
And approval of the minutes from February 20th, 2024.
I move that we approve
I
the 2024
get that one.
minutes.
Second.
Okay, okay, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have the approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting of March 19th, 2024.
I approve. I second.
Okay, first and second for the approval of the agenda as written. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Next is item 7, public comment on items not on the agenda.
None.
Okay, there are none. And item 8, new business.
None.
There is no new business. Item 9, old business. Number 9.1, discussion of standards and qualities of regulation pickleball courts. And staff report is Bryce Atkins, Assistant to the City Administrator.
Yes, City Commission. So in your packet is a rather lengthy staff report, both from some information sources as mentioned. So again, this item is continued discussion of the project to explore and basically develop firm recommendations from City Council regarding potential pickleball court locations. So the schedule has for this month discussion on regarding ideal pickleball courts from a pickleball perspective. So there's 2 formal organizations that govern pickleball, or Region USA Pickleball, which is a national organization. They maintain a series of books, relating to all the rules, including pickleball courts, how to run the games, leagues, equipment, etc. There's the California Pickleball Association, which is a state association. They're mainly focused on league play and tournaments and the regulation of games themselves. Unfortunately, we reached out to both of them requesting technical assistance. Neither of them responded, which is unfortunate. I hope that they would be able to provide significant more information. We were able to glean information from their websites and some documents they have. So that forms the majority of your staff report in the packet. So I'm not gonna go beleaguer too much of this, but we'll kind of go over some of the aspects, the ones that are kind of more related towards the physical structures that would be something that you would consider in ranking locations for these courts. So space, it's the minimum amount of size is 30 feet by 60 feet, 34 by 64 is their preferred. The orientation, they are recommending north-south orientation to help that eye from being looking at their thumb. Court base, they recommend asphalt or concrete, but with surfacing on top. They're recommending an acrylic with basically a grit to an aggregate to help with some traction. We believe that by having this right combination, it allows the proper bounce of the ball, but reduces abrasion. Lighting is another consideration. They also mentioned that light poles should be a minimum of 5 feet from the sidelines. The light poles recommended, and padding around them if they're inside the fence. They do recommend fencing to both back stops for the ball, side stops to prevent the ball from going into other courts, gates, obviously, and windbreaks. Other amenities they list were court benches, shade structures, power and water, and spectator seating. And there's more detailed descriptions inside the staff report. It'll basically be a resource going forward as we move through the process. So we did do an informal questions with some of the pickleball players from the Wheeler Center. It was very impromptu. And asked them what kind of minis they would be looking for in a court. So they would prefer courts that are designed for pickleball play exclusively, kind of like the tennis courts and Los Alamos are dedicated just to these purposes. They do want to cover area for shade from the rain, but perhaps the sail fades. They say it's not as big of an issue like you would have with tennis because they don't have lob shots. They're wanting something similar to Los Alamos, 6 courts for tournament play. They do want seating. They said there's not a lot of seating in the areas they do. Could be something simple as small bleachers or wood benches. They also recommended possibly doing center court design where you only have spectator benches, or if you do a multi-court location, just having spectators around the central court and the others are just kind of competitive play around it. Small dividers help prevent pickleballs from going to adjacent courts. They asked that either provide the netting or posts where they can affix their own netting for league play. They want the surface to be sport court material, not cement. They lamented that some, scraped up legs whenever they had to dive for a ball and go fall. Other amenities, they suggested that, again, no limited budget, just these wish list, a PA system for announcing games and calls for players. And then a community room or area for snacks and resting between areas.
They don't want much, do they?
Well, we didn't
All right, I didn't
provide.
mean to interrupt.
No, it's all right. So we didn't provide them any budget limitation. We really want to kind of say, okay, what.
If money
what
were
would you
no
want?
object,
Money were no
what would
object,
you
what
want?
would you do?
I get it.
Can I ask you,
Sure.
who were these people? Pickleball organization or just a group of players that came together and decided, or?
Oh, this is just interviews of players there, so they didn't, it wasn't like a group of players, it was like one and. another
Okay.
one separately, so there was no like coordination of.
Okay, so you didn't call in a group of,
Yeah,
No, we
interesting.
just took advantage of the group there.
okay, thanks.
They meet there 3 times a week.
So I have a question. If we give all that to pickleball, how will the tennis players feel? Will they feel like they've gotten anything else?
I think that's-
Is that later on?
That's premature, but
Yes.
later on.
So again, the key thing is, so that's the wishes, and the whole thought is to try to get as much perspective of players like our minis and that have. In reality, the budget and funding is going to
Yes.
drive what we can actually deliver on that.
Mhm.
And so, a PA system, it would be a stretch, community room is definitely a stretch. But there are elements of this and some, like the surfacing request, shade from rain. Those are good requests, if money produces it, might be worthwhile, but we can design and select locations. Assume that most of these requests aren't going to really be, well, let me step back. It's up to the commission if you want to consider those elements when selecting. Creation of a shade structure over a court can be done at any of the locations, so that may not weigh into the decision as far as ranking locations, right? So there are some other considerations that we put in from a staff perspective that we recommend. These kind of are a little more in alignment for the commission to consider for locations. So one is parking. Each park or the location, what's the availability of parking? And will additional courts drive more parking to occur? And is there room for that in existing parking facilities to absorb that? The restrooms, are they available at the site? The relative distance from locations within the park? And the number of users that the restroom facilities can handle. Area for 1 or more courts. There might be a park location, but maybe there's only room for 1 or 2 courts in a small park versus a larger park that might be able to facilitate eventually 6 courts. Another one could be the impact on other amenities. So obviously, every single square foot of a park that's developed for a particular purpose is park areas that can be used for other purposes as well. So something to consider as well. Outdoor versus indoor. So the presumption we have going into the process is, well, it's going to be an outdoor court in these other areas. Maybe there's an opportunity to look at an indoor facility within an existing structure that we already have. That's something we can kind of take a look as part of this process. And a location within the city. is essentially located, or looking to purchase certain areas. There's something to consider, as far as, if there's any distance to travel, that this incentivized play. If we kind of go around. And finally, like topography, right? So all it assumes a relatively level playing field. Some park locations may not be graded to that point, that's extra cost, maybe that's less ideal. Or maybe that's also more ideal just to do that development, if that location works for pickleball, and maybe not a larger facility installation. So we want to present to the commission some concepts as we go forward. The next meeting that we have is where we're gonna actually sit down and start identifying all the criteria based on the model, and where you kind of start determining how you want to weigh your individual considerations and what you want to prioritize. So there may be other areas that you might come up with as time goes that you think, you want to consider. So there's time now for discussion. If there's something else that you think, or that you recommend to other commissioners to weigh and evaluate, or something you may have missed that you want to have as a criteria in the selection, or not. It's up to you. So the thought is that over the next month, the commission would think about how you want to prioritize what criteria, and then we'll sit down and actually put the model up and start entering this information in there and to proceed with the next phase of actual sport. This presentation, and we're happy to answer any questions.
I'm trying to go back to the timeline presented last month, I think it was.
Yes.
I'm trying to see if I could find that.
Probably be in a minute or two.
Yeah,
And then the table will probably be in the staff, I don't think it's in the minutes. The table where it has each month and what the commission, that we're projecting to do.
It was last month.
it was last month, right? Yeah. I'm just thinking about, okay, so I think you guys did a great job of at least getting stuff that we need to consider.
Oh, yeah.
So what I heard you say is like, okay, now we have to start prioritizing. What are the things that are gonna be important, for, and then location, right? So I guess the point I'm trying to come up, just processing my mind. What do we need to do for this meeting and this month? If you have to do we do a subcommittee? Is it just, are we gonna be able to do this just meeting once a month? Sitting down on this, or do we need to, thank you, Pat.
So the way the project approach was designed was so that we could do it series once a month meeting. That's why it's kind of a long process, right? It's basically throughout the rest of this calendar year. And so the thought is that you don't need to have a subcommittee to talk about, because the model that we're using is a multi-criteria decision analysis. So you get to pick your own weighting on the priorities that you as an individual commissioner, you don't have to negotiate that with the others. That's one advantage. So you don't have to form a subcommittee for that part. The approach is that we would then, so this meeting talk about some of the considerations. The next meeting will be identifying what those priorities are, right? So that's the April meeting. Then the thought, if I remember correctly off the top of my head, May, June, July is a quiet month, right? There's no meeting in July.
Right.
So those months would be spent where you would go out individually to different parks or different locations to evaluate and determine, how you think with the criteria, the priorities that you have identified for yourself, score those locations. And then the thought is then in the August meeting, when we turn back from the break, we would sit down and start tabulating the scores that you provided, and then that will come out with aggregate scores for each park. And then after that meeting, we would then come back in the September meeting saying, okay, based on the scores you provided, if we just take the average scores, here's the ranking, and offer to the commission, are you happy with that ranking? Is that something that you're going to recommend to the council, or are there changes that you're going to make based on that?
So, thank you, and that's a good summary, and so I see it in April to develop our individual, each one of us come up with our individual scoring based on the criteria that we have so far. One of the things that I did hear from people in the community, and I've talked to a few people, especially at Sunrise, bathrooms is something that they've been doing without, and they just rush home and they have to go to the bathroom, and they don't drink water before they get there, which is kind of crazy, working out and not drinking water. So bathrooms is a big deal, right? Because that costs a lot of money to build a bathroom. If we're gonna put a cord on, not put a bathroom in, that's, I think that's kind of problematic for me. Noise, the neighbors and that whack, whack, whack does create a noise. To some neighbors, I know it's gonna be disturbance. I think that Sunrise are used to it. You're not getting any complaints in the city, right? So I think they're probably used to that already at Sunrise. It's happening. I'm not hearing a bunch of complaints about it. But anywhere we go, it's close to maybe another park that's close to a bunch of neighbors. I think that's gonna be an issue for the neighbors that go there. We need to make sure we inform them that that's what's happening, so we can have some maybe community input on that. So noise is one that I think, and for sure the bathroom thing is something.
Also parking,
Yeah, all of
because
that.
if
all of
we're
that,
near
yeah.
residential and those pickleball players are there for whatever, 2-3 hours and they're in front of people's houses, I mean, that could be an issue.
Yeah, and that's probably that's it, right? Sunrise and here, that's the only places that I know that people play. And unless I'm missing a spot.
Is Sunrise, tennis and pickleball?
Correct.
Okay, so they're sharing it,
Yeah.
they have a scheduling or something?
No,
They just
some of
go in?
some of the tennis people
Okay.
aren't happy that the pickleballers take over and play, again, based on just a relatively small sample size of people that I talked to. But-
Yeah, gotten very, very.
Yeah, very few complaints.
Surprising.
Good.
I think,
To ask one question.
sure.
Sure, yeah.
You mentioned Bryce, indoor, what would be the dimensions? Is it the same thing or you gonna need clearances? And does this mean any type of flooring would work?
Yeah, so the court sizes don't change based on indoor or outdoor. The guidance from USA Pickleball, there are certain dimensional changes if you want to have wheelchair. Or so you have actual dimensions for wheelchair tournament play. There's one other one I'm blanking on.
Yeah, it's in the
Yeah, there's three. So inside the pack is also
new construction
section. Yeah, so there's, but it's really small deviations. So it shouldn't matter as far as indoor, outdoors.
And I would imagine surface, if it's wood, like a basketball court, multi-purpose, that'll work as well.
Yeah, so there doesn't seem to be, at least from what I can tell in the documents we have so far, that there's a limitation on the surface material for any kind of official tournament regulation. The intention of it is, the biggest thing for the sport court is for obviously player, injuries, like return abrasions, and wear and tear on equipment, like the ball, etc. At least according to the document. But other than that, it seems like you can play on any type of surface, tennis courts, wood, you could play on concrete, asphalt, whatever. But again, it's that consideration of injuries.
So it would handle the noise issue.
It would. So there's one document I read where, they have, potential sound cancellation walls. That's something that could be considered. I don't know if that would change. I mean, you might consider that in a location, like, okay, that's extra cost to do that. But I don't know that is a criteria specific and how effective sound walls are for that type of thing. Obviously, a highway sound wall is a little too high. It's like a concrete barricade in the court. It's probably not practical.
I did read that, I don't know if it's US pickleball or it's California pickleball, but they are considering lowering the quieter balls and rackets. But that's still in the thinking stages.
And how do we determine where there'll be, we have an existing tennis court at Los Animas that's used. So now you have to look at the places where there are courts and they're gonna be pickleball, they're gonna be tennis, or are there other tennis courts? I'm just thinking, I guess, I think bigger, I can't. So I'm just wondering, how much involvement are the pickleball players? How many pickleball players are there in an association and go as opposed to tennis players? Do you even have that? Thought so, because those would be the two conflictions, right? The tennis players and pickleball players, would they be the same courts? They'd be
Well-
playing on both? I mean,
So the proposal of the project is identify locations for a new pickleball court. So it wouldn't be an existing tennis court. It'd be new construction.
so we don't have to worry about having a second tennis court? I mean, the tennis courts there at Los Animas seem to be satisfactory.
For the purpose of
This-
this project,
Yes,
that's really,
Okay.
not the focus, it's
Right.
new locations.
right. right, I understand that.
Yeah.
And so have you targeted new locations yet, or is this just?
That's what we're gonna do.
So-
That's a word.
Okay. I'm getting old and forgetting stuff, sorry, guys.
Good flush.
Okay,
So the next meeting, we'll bring a list of the known locations of the city owned property. So that way, the full scope, all different parks, obviously, there's some parks that it would be a challenge to fit one in, we expect, but most would be able to take at least one possible meeting for.
okay,
So as that's a consideration, you may want to score, okay, I only think, I think the biggest thing is, when we do a complex, like what's on tennis courts, like the 6 court, whatever. So in that case, your scoring will be more dependent on a high rate for available land area. Obviously, you're going to probably favor larger parks, location. It really just kind of depends on you, and that's why it's very selective process to each commissioner, specifically, you're not negotiating with each other, and so it'll work itself out through that process.
Yeah, I thank you. I have done some preliminary looking at, like Sunrise has a dirt area over there that people have expressed that'd be a good place to put a pickleball court. They mentioned that, but again, I think every time we go through this, we have to weigh, well, there's no bathrooms, and what about parking? You want land, Joey Sports Park has tons of them, right? It hasn't been annexed yet, it hasn't been, the master plan calls for, but there's lots of land, but it's not centrally located, they've got bathrooms, and they got plenty of parking. So these are all the things that I think we're gonna have to go through and start weighing and figure out,
Well,
that makes the most sense.
unless it is a community park location, there will be no bathrooms. That's the rule of the city. And whether none of the other parks other than Los Animas and Christmas Hill and the sports park
Have bathrooms.
are not community parks, everything else is a neighborhood park. So there will never be any bathrooms where there isn't already.
Miller, except,
Miller's accepted, that's just, and then they're locked at the time. San Ysidro has parking, has a small area of bathrooms, but it's not considered a community park as far as I'm concerned. That regulation that we had way back when. So, yeah, there's, this is things people need to understand. You're not supposed to have bathrooms just because you want one. It's a community park designation, that already in the city that's existing. So, I'm thinking, I like the idea of it being in Los Animas Park, something there. But I also like the idea of it being, in Farrell Park, where there's nothing there. And it could get something in the park, and there's adequate parking, and there's no bathrooms, but there's no bathrooms, it's not a community park. Those are just things that are rolling around in my head. And also at Los Animas Park, it would help bring the attention, more bodies in that park, less desirable things going on there when there's more people in the park. One thing I think about. So Sam, go ahead.
Bryce, when do you hand us the checklist?
So, basically, I'll add noise to the item, so the thought is if there's anything that you want to add that you want on the checklist that I haven't already talked about.
noise.
So we've got the noise down. If there's anything else, let me know, we'll send that out, and then ultimately at that point, we'll be asking commissioners about by email. And we'll be asking commissioners to start identifying a percentage. That's the easiest way to kind of say, okay, I want 5% of the total scoring to be for lighting, 30% bathrooms, whatever percentage that you want at that point. If in the between time when you get the checklist and as you start doing your percentages, if you realize, oh, I want to give 2% or whatever to something that we don't even have on the list, then you just bring that back to the next meeting and say, hey, I want to add this as a criteria. And then what we'll do is we'll have a final criteria list set at the next meeting. And then at that point, we start assigning the percentages that each of you have identified.
Okay, thank you.
Can I throw on natural shade if it's possible?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if there is a park that has natural shade, it's a park, but that would be great.
Well, yeah, and I think too that, shade is another issue, but then again, nothing else has shade specific to a court. Other than tennis courts, other than trees, natural shade,
Natural shade.
the structures for children. I'm more concerned about children having the shade structures like at Rainbow Park and stuff, but there's nothing. So, those are criteria in my mind, what they want and what eventually is gonna happen may not be the same things. We may not be popular, but we have to be realistic, right? So anyway, any other persons have comments?
Patty?
Yeah.
Are we ruling out, existing tennis courts?
Yes, it would replace existing tennis courts. It's new locations.
New location, okay, that would be on the list then.
I have a follow-up question to Sam's. We're not replacing what's already designated as a spot, like at Sunrise, they can keep the joint court there?
So these, again, new locations.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you would build in
Yeah.
addition to.
In
what's
addition
already
to,
there.
so that we already keep the ones we have, so, okay,
So
great.
if I can add to that one, the concept is identify essentially prioritization for new courts to come in. It doesn't prevent or change the ability to share existing tennis courts and the similar arrangements you have with Sunrise already.
Mhm.
The other key consideration that we're prioritizing for when this happens, we don't know when funding is gonna come for capital court, or if it's good to, these are recommendations to the council. Council may say, yeah, we'd rather have more tennis court, but who knows what council's recommendation comes from that.
Right.
So, we don't want to, as part of the process, we're not going to be making a dramatic change. We're saying, okay, the sharing of courts and Sunrise is no longer gonna happen now.
Right.
And so I just want to make sure that we're clear, especially as we kind of go through this process for anybody that hears about what we're talking about. We're not, it's identifying new locations, when funding is available until then, the existing arrangements and locations will continue.
Mhm. Great, thank you. Okay,
Patty?
yes, Sam?
So, Bryce, maybe I'm repeating myself, but are we working with the school district on the, no. So it's, we go out and find a
Pretty
piece
much
of
city
property.
land,
Yeah.
city land.
Okay.
Since we don't control that, I was setting a priority to construct on their land with their permission to do it first, that might change, so we're going to basically rank the locations that we have.
Yeah.
Site control.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. So what I was thinking is in the future, when they want more and more courts, because that one gentleman talked about how many lots more courts than 6. Then maybe that's something where they can explore it with like Galvin College or, one of the schools, one of the high schools or something in the future, I would think. Okay, so there were no public present and there were no public comments, so we've basically had our discussion with staff and all. So where do we go from here, Grace? You tell us.
At this point, so it's just discussion, so any comments or a couple of things to add, the noise and natural shade.
Mhm.
And addition to bathroom and parking is listed for the items. Send out email to commissioners probably later this week. For this, and then at that point, to take into consideration as far as what allocation we're gonna do, and if we need categories, we can do that. And then next meeting, we'll document, we'll just basically go through the commissioners, identify the percentage that you have, and then we'll create them all at that point. And, of course,
Can I make a comment? You know me, I'm kind of off the wall sometimes, but I'm just impressed in how fast you've gotten the ball rolling with this whole pickleball. I mean, we've talked about it, we know it's exploding, there's, places, there's other towns that have them. And then I was looking at the funding and whatnot for, the pickleball court. So is there a lot of demand? Are people coming to the city, and saying, hey, we need more pickleball courts, or what's driving this? I feel like a quickness of the development of a court.
Morgan Hill?
Well, in all fairness,
No,
and you've been here since the beginning of this discussion,
Yeah.
it started during the pandemic.
Mhm.
So it's been like 3 years, the commission.
I guess it just feels real now because we're talking money and, it's a bigger vision now than it was. We had it out there. And how do we know the other court's gonna be full? How do we know how many pickleball players are really interested in in pickleball and that wants the money put in?
Does the interest last?
Well, so far it's increasing exponentially.
I mean, that's what I see, but.
Yeah,
So the other thing to realize that this is the decision to actually implement and proceed with a court there's different stages. So at this point, we're identifying Parks and Recreation Commission's recommending council that if the council determines that there is sufficient demand, there is funding for the development of dedicated pickleball courts,
Uh-huh.
then like you're saying, this is the order of priority of what we think where the pickleball courts should go
Gotcha.
if council determines to proceed with
Okay.
that. So there's a couple of stages in there, in between the action here. If it's setting it up so that should the opportunity present itself, let's say grant funding also becomes available,
Mhm.
or, or it's determined they're going to proceed, and there's enough demand, they already have that, we don't have to go through this process all over again. It's already set in stage. So basically, it's kind of heading towards shovel ready. It's not really, because there's a lot of other things that have to happen, but it gets the starting point much further along, should the decision to proceed.
So the discussion's happening, and that's going to move us forward one way or the other. Okay, thank you.
And having all this, legwork then is gonna help any grant.
Oh, yeah, that's what
Writing
you said. It's
too.
Once you're prepared, you can jump on anything that comes your way.
Yeah, it's just not master planned, and it wasn't part of the community outreach that they did when we were all interviewed several years ago.
Oh, yeah.
It's mentioned.
Well,
in these assessments.
I was in there, but it didn't hit the top 10. I mean, one person brought it up in the meeting I was in, it was like nothing compared to that time, who it is now. And I was up at the Villages today earlier. Unfortunately, I just stopped by the pickleball courts, but because they weren't where they thought they were. But anyway, yeah, it's kind of like wondering, but apparently they're not by all the residences. So anyway, and neither are the tennis courts per se, although they're only half a block away. So, apparently they work it out or they live with it or something. So, anyway, okay, so I guess then we go on to 9.2. All right. Section. Thank you, Bryce, very much.
Yeah,
And
that's
all the
really,
work you've been doing on this, I know you've been working really hard on it. Review of fiscal year 24 and fiscal year 25 for the Parks and Recreation Commission work plan. And number one, staff report, Evan.
Yes, so in terms of the next staff reports in your packet, so if you recall at your last meeting, you adopted a new work plan for the remainder of this fiscal year and for next fiscal year. As you can see, these are the items, we'll go over them. And the focus for tonight is to figure out, some of them, if they're reoccurring, like Arbor Day, you already kind of know what the work is going to entail, but some of them are new ideas, so you'll need to figure out what exactly do you plan to achieve over the next 18 or so months. Okay, so hosting Arbor Day, suggestion was to have it in fall of this year. And so we'll wait to hear from parks to identify a park. As you know, every year, at least since over the 7 years that I've been here, it's been rotated at a different park. And so I don't know if John has that list, but I'll share that with you so you know which ones it's already been at and maybe find a different park.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's see, the next one is training opportunities for commissioners. So these are ongoing opportunities. If I find out about any opportunities, I will of course share them with you. Recently, Chair Benson, Commissioner Graham, were you at that as well or no?
with a
It was
ninja,
the webinar at the senior center.
was I there?
You were.
I think, yeah, I was, I think, yeah, it was, yes,
Okay.
I think it was,
Yeah.
late.
So if there's a webinar, if there's an actual person training, for example, last August, Commissioner Ramirez, as well as we attended the Silicon Valley High School Summit. A year ago, Vice Chair Graham, Chair Benson, and I attended the California Park and Recreation Society Conference in Oregon Hill. So there are these opportunities for you to network, as well as find out more about what's happening in other cities and which ideas may be able to incorporate it into your work. Participating in citywide events. So this past December, commissioners participated in Breakfast with Santa, where you served over 200 people. And there are other events as well where you can table and let the community know, hey, Parks and Recreation Commission is here, if they have any concerns, any issues, any ideas, come to our meeting. And in the past, that has been effective, so, of course, I'm thinking like Downtown Live, which the commission has tabled that before. There is an event, you may wanna consider, it's actually gonna be the end of April, it's still being worked on, but it's actually at South Valley Middle School, they're doing a bike safety event at the school, and we'll be there doing recreation, but if the commission wants to be there, some of these people too, so. I'll keep this on
That's at the South Village Junior High?
that. Yes, that is correct.
Okay,
Um,
what about,
yeah.
KDA and other opportunities that we've had to be at the park?
Yeah, so party in the park, you know, we don't, KDA is kind of morphed into the Day of the Child event. But there is party in the park, that's the big event. I'm trying to remember, I know Commissioner Sasso was there last year, this is at San Ysidro Park.
That was the one I went to too.
Yes.
There was a party in the park.
Yes,
Okay.
so
But
that's.
they had some KDA elements in it.
They did, yes, yes, they did. KDA is Kids Discover Art, which was a long-standing event. Yeah, so any of those events, if you heard about an event that you would like to participate in, let me know and I can provide you with the table cover and informational
Okay.
brochures, things like that, including that guy.
Mhm. Are they still doing the park cleanups and stuff where we could participate as volunteers?
Yes, yes.
Or if we know about those too.
Yeah, so there are the monthly park cleanups, and they're not just at parks, they're downtown, different neighborhoods. There's also the biannual creek cleanup that's coming up in May. And that is one that is led by Recreation, it's typically anywhere from 50 to 75 volunteers. We have had commissioners participate there in the past.
Mhm.
If you wanna set up a table, you can, or just come on out and pick up litter.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's amazing what you can find in the water.
That's why they have a big dumpster.
Okay,
Speaking of water, I just got, I hate to interrupt our flow here, but I just got a text from somebody at Los Animas, and there's a faucet that won't turn off. It's going at the moment.
where at?
At the moment, Los Animas.
Where
Small
at?
dog park.
Okay,
The small dog.
Must be
Oh.
recent, that was
Oh,
earlier today, I didn't see it.
just, since you're talking about that, when I drove up for Christmas Hill, the soccer players were having to compete with sprinklers on the ramp site.
Oh,
And I was there at 4 o'clock and there was
Wait, wait,
no.
wait.
No, I'm just letting you know.
These are good, but just hold them for commissioner comments.
Okay.
Okay, hold them for commissioner comments. If it is an emergency.
Yeah.
like this one.
Yeah,
Yeah, just crossed my mind, I meant to say it.
that's
Thank you,
funny, because I was out there,
you're
we
welcome.
playing, I think what, 4:30?
Okay, Vice Chair Graham.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, this one actually I wanted to provide an update on, it is in your packet, participate in VTA Measure B funded program. So if you recall at your last meeting, the commission recommended to city council for the city to utilize those funds to contract a consultant to do the GIS mapping
Right,
throughout the city.
Right.
That contract will deplete the remaining funds. Yeah, so.
for this year or for ever?
For the length of the VTA Measure B.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Now, with that said, the city still plans to host an Energizer station for Bike to Wherever Day. It's a very low cost event. So we are gonna continue to do that. Many of you have participated in that in the past. We are gonna do it again. I wanna say it's Thursday, May 16th. I'll continue to remind you. And we'll do it at the same location at Christmas Hill Park, right on the levee there. So the city still wants us to participate in that, regardless of whether or not there's any funds available. It's such a low cost event that it doesn't have much impact. So in terms of participating in VTA Measure B funded programs, you may want to modify that and either, you can actually probably consolidate it with participating in citywide events. So you have Bike to Wherever Day, it's called Bike to Work Day, but
Yeah.
also Bike to Wherever Day.
Yeah, okay.
Into the participating in citywide events, so that can now become a citywide event.
Okay.
Okay, monitoring city parks. All of you are familiar with it, you all have park assignments, and again, during commissioner comments, that's when you let staff know about what's happening at the parks that have been designated to you. Review of establishing a pickleball facility. And of course, that's what you're working on right now, is with Bryce. And that is obviously going to be an ongoing item that's gonna be going on at least through the end of this calendar year. And perhaps even further, depending on what the end result is, so. What else here? Okay, this is a new one, this is one that we will need to talk about tonight in terms of how exactly is this going to proceed. Study opportunities for parks and recreation services to have dedicated funding sources. And the last one is work with Gilroy Library to bring about a story walk to a park or a trail. And I want to just mention, I think it's on here, maybe not. The Gilroy Librarian is going to be at the next meeting. And so she will present and explain to you what is a story walk, what does it look like, what does it entail, and what your role, would be in terms of trying to see to make that happen.
Yeah, and remind us what the funds came from where?
So the funding would be provided entirely by the library.
Nice.
Yeah, but the whole impetus of the concept is to have it at a park or on a trail, right? It's to encourage people to get outdoors, to move, to do it with your families, and to read, of course, literacy.
Nice.
Yeah. But again, so more on that at the next meeting. So she'll be here in April. Now, I brought this, I put it up on the projector because this was my mistake. I don't know, it looks like it printed out very small on your page, and I apologize. I made a note to myself for the next meeting to have it horizontal. So it's easier to read. This is very small, so I'm gonna go up there. Some of these, again, what we should do is, this is my recommendation, if you have a different idea, please let me know. But is to just kind of go through the items and fill in the blanks, so for example, for host for Arbor Day, again, I'm gonna bring it out here. Everyone see that?
No, kind of, thank you. That's better.
After all this stuff.
Host Arbor Day.
You sent me my.
Okay.
About community events, this is the language from the previous, last year. Around Arbor Day to retain the Tree City designation. Everyone remembers what the Tree City, do you know what the Tree City designation is?
Vaguely.
Okay, so it's, so Tree City USA is a designation that if the city meets certain criteria, they get this, I don't say it's a certificate, but it's a designation, and they can call themselves a tree city. And you've actually probably seen signs around the city limits that say this is a tree city, and you've seen it probably in other cities. So one of the criteria is to host Arbor Day every year. The commission has led that every year, hosted Arbor Day. And that's where we invite the mayor, members of the city council, the public, and we have an event, we celebrate trees,
We usually plant a tree there too, don't we?
multiple trees, yes. And then this past Arbor Day was very unique, because we had a big sponsor, Google, who donated several trees, and with the help of city staff, and landscapers, each time. And they planted them at the dog park over at Hackerpass.
Great,
Yeah,
yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
yeah.
Other trees out there. They look good, we just had one fixed that was leaning a bit, but otherwise, trees are doing great. That's a quick question, I think I asked last week and didn't really get an answer. Why, I know you mentioned having it in the fall. Why don't we have it on Arbor Day? Why don't we have it on Arbor Day, which is what, like the second Monday in May or April or something like that? I'd have to look it up, but.
Actually, Arbor Day is April 20th. You know, what's really, honestly, what has happened is usually it's just when we can make it happen. And typically what happens is that in the beginning of the year, January, when we have a new commission, we spend time building a work plan, getting things ready, then all of a sudden April appears and we just aren't ready yet to prepare Arbor Day. Because keep in mind, to prepare Arbor Day, we have to identify where we're getting the trees. The city park staff has to prepare the park for it, or at least that location. And then we need to advertise the event to get everything over. So I think that if we can keep the continuity and plan it in advance, we can make that happen. But historically, since I've been here, we've had it during the summer, we've had it in the early fall. This is the first time we had it in
never in
December.
But I like Doug's point, I realize probably this year, but
Yeah.
next year, we're gonna be the same four, or maybe add another person. So maybe next year we shoot for April 20th, because I think it would be
Yeah.
good to host Arbor Day on Arbor
I
Day.
mean, it's Arbor Day.
Yeah,
It seems to me it should be on, I mean, if we can't prepare for a day like Arbor Day, identify sources of trees and things, I mean, then, you know, are we gonna get on it early and then it'll be ready in September, or I just fail to see why we can't have it on Arbor Day, on or around Arbor Day. That way it would be.
And see, and I look at it as the tree, what's healthy for the tree. I don't wanna plant a tree in summertime when it's real hot and it's not getting water, or it freezes over and John looks out and then all the new trees are, frostbitten or something like that. So Arbor Day is what, April, so that's a real nice sweet spot that you can get trees, if it's not raining and we're digging mud.
the rains are being moved.
I'm not opposed to doing it in April 20th, it does, logistically, it is falling right at the start of baseball season and the spring, but it's gonna be a little tough for us, but we. Not saying no, but there's a lot of stuff that kicks off in the spring for us.
What if,
That's good to
what if we
know.
waited like 2 weeks and you're into the second part of May or something like that? I mean, Little League's already started,
Yeah, we can,
that, I mean, staffing is a huge issue, so, yeah.
yeah,
We wouldn't be that bad if we moved it at least 2 weeks, would it not?
Well, I'm just on or around Arbor Day
Yeah,
would be like
closer,
kind of a neat way to go.
And I think we kind of still get rain in April around here. We can. Yeah, that we can get it in the morning.
What's the date again?
For,
Arbor Day, yeah,
it's celebrated on April 20th.
yeah, well, what is the date that we have?
This year it's the 26th, by the way.
Oh, is it the 26th? Okay. Or maybe I'm thinking Earth Day. I think Earth Day is.
Yeah, 21st.
So 21st of,
Yeah,
So we don't have a set date yet.
okay.
Yeah.
with my son's brother.
So could,
Yeah,
Patty,
yes, sir.
could we do something like do the date that you're suggesting? With the idea that
Last
we
Friday.
announce for the next year that it's gonna be on Arbor Day, April 20th? Something, so that we know in advance.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at John here. Or do you want to maybe come back at the next meeting and look into it?
yeah, we can.
I don't wanna put him on the spot.
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah,
and aren't we we're a designated city tree city?
And we have been since 1970.
And does that run in with, is that part of the
No,
Arbor
it
Day?
doesn't matter.
Oh.
You can have it anytime,
Okay, so
anytime.
they don't follow,
No.
okay.
Yeah.
And
It's
it's
the
just,
last Friday of
April, by the way, because that's the official. date. That's very good. And with that, I'll-
Doesn't the city also have an event for Earth Day on the 20th of April at Christmas Hill where we get mulch and
Yes, yeah, and actually, the plant sale.
Yeah.
The Miller Red Barn, so if you wanna see the barn, it's gonna be open on Saturday, May 20th, the special event coming application just got approved. So they're going to have a plant sale at the barn, and then they'll do their annual mulch giveaway. And that's Saturday, April 20th.
The mulch piece is part of the Red Barn, or is that part of,
Same location, but it's one is handled by
but
the
it's a city?
Yeah, the Miller Red Barn is handled by the Barn Association.
Okay.
I'll be like
More
more
mulch thing, okay.
I'm just trying to plug things in my calendar so I can, kind of know what's coming up, you know? But we also do the mulch day too. So I'll put that in here too, Cindy. Okay?
Are we still getting trees from the gentleman that owns the tree company, that did like the trees, donated the trees on Farrell?
Western, you mean?
I don't know. I don't know the name of it.
West Coast Burgers.
I was supposed to.
So this year, obviously, we got Google.
Still hanging.
Yeah, and West Coast Arborist continues to contract with the city, so.
Oh, okay, that's the
it-
relationship.
It's
Okay.
something that.
Okay.
I have a question on if we're still able to get Google trees through our contacts. Can we get 3 more trees to replace the ones at Rainbow that are failing? They never took off. They were so small. I can show you where they're at too, John.
They're up of,
Fantastic.
Mentonia.
Yeah.
It's a really hot sun-baked park, considering it's for small children. Yeah, the sun goes right over and it doesn't set until the mountain's there.
Well, if we plant a bigger tree, like these Google trees are bigger, maybe we have a better chance.
I don't know.
To take a look, I think they're in the sidewalk strips.
Yeah,
And concrete,
Yeah.
maybe
yeah.
limited to the.
I don't know, but the small ones, the usuals we got before.
There's a word for trees over there. I was just there today, because I, with that part and.
So back to the,
Yes, back
the
to
work
our.
plan, one of the things that I'm looking at is the lead commissioner or staff. Obviously for Arbor Day, it's been handled by staff. John would handle the park, the trees, I'll handle kind of the event incidents. But for example, training opportunities for the commissioners, is anyone interested in kind of taking the lead on that? And certainly I will continue to forward information to you throughout. If there's something relevant.
Training in regard to,
Parks and Recreation, so the latest trends, it covers everything. It covers, everything from grants to, how to handle, the homeless. Already how to handle the homeless, but what are the latest, issues, what's working, what's not working.
Mhm.
And some of this is more staff, focused, but other is also commissioner or board focused.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Well, I just attended one,
Yeah,
the pod.
foundations.
Foundation, yeah, it was the foundation
Yeah.
for, associations. So I attended with Bill Headley.
Oh, good.
And, there's gonna be more, but, we have to work about getting a new, membership. But the CPRS, now that they're taking in it was formerly the California Association of Parks and Recreation Commissioners that I'm on that committee as well. Now we're going to be absorbed by the California Park Restoration Society as a section. And we'll be dealing with public advocacy issues that were regarding parks. So, and recreation. And so if there's any training that comes up from that, I will be happy to share that. I'm going to be having 2 surgery procedures in April and May. The one in May will be the most serious because I'll be another rotator cuff stuff with the shoulder, and that's a 6 weeks. But I will be here at the meeting, but I won't be able to drive, I have to ride, all that stuff. But I mean, if I hear anything. just-
Yeah.
I will, I mean, I can be the person that takes the lead, cause I hear a lot of stuff too, and then Adam, you have it, and we talk about it. So,
Yeah, I like the opportunity of being able to attend things that, especially like funding sources on it, anything to do with potential waste for parks and Rec the money, I'm totally in on that, and attending other things that latest things that Parks and Rec
Yeah.
people are doing, I'm all for.
Yeah,
attending
It's
those.
pretty amazing, the one that I went with you, and just listening to the different cities and the creativity.
yeah.
That
Yeah,
just
that
is
was a great-
mind blowing, how they, you know, you think about our little parks, and they go, oh, you did that, oh, wow, and you can't hardly take in as much as you're hearing,
Yeah.
and
I
so
don't
I
know.
would recommend.
And I think this is relevant, I don't know if anybody caught Mark Turner's, State of the City address from Morgan Hill. He
I
mentioned-
saw it publicized, Marie's gonna have hers.
Yeah, but they're looking at trying to get $100 million to invest in youth sports. Cause it's a big industry and try to drive them to Morgan Hill, you know, so those are the kind of really interesting things that.
Well, yeah, I'd
it's
like to
fun
know what,
Think about and look into.
yeah, and I'd love to know stuff about that, but I'm sure we might be doing the double thing for the city if your staff is going in for something. I don't know, are you? Is there a grant writer here for the city anymore? I think there's a grant writer now, right?
There's not a dedicated grant writer, the
We
city.
have on-call services for grant writing, but it's a consulting firm
Okay.
that's generic, like they prepare grant applications in various aspects.
Yeah.
But I could say with, personal experience, staff is still deeply involved.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, cause they can only do so much.
Oh, sure, I know that when I worked there. You know, it's just, you're expected to know about grants, and you got me on budget, how can I do grants? You know, how it used to be, so, yeah.
And we can
Yeah.
assist. So with regards to the 100 million, what type of grant are they?
Well,
applying for?
that was still up in the air on how they're gonna get the money, but they're looking towards that. I don't know how they're gonna get that, but he still hadn't defined it.
They're looking probably for naming rights and things like that, where they can get money.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and I don't know what they did to get the pickleball court rolling, but it definitely inspired, our council, I think, too. Right. So, you know,
So,
yeah, but I just don't know about funding, and, yeah.
Okay, so anyways, in terms of going down the list here, participating in citywide events, I think multiple commissioners who's ever
Yeah.
available, I'll let
Yeah.
you know what's going on.
Yeah,
Monitoring city parks is everyone, we talked about the BTA, how that'll be consolidated, absorbed. Establishing a pickleball facility, again, you're all involved, so it'll be all commissioners. And this is the one, as I mentioned at the, earlier, that probably want to spend some time on in terms of, what is the work that actually, you want to try to accomplish.
well,
More goals,
I think it was my
This
passionate
means study
plea.
opportunities for Parks and Recreation Services to have dedicated funding sources.
Well, this is my plea last month about the capital, budget for the, master plan. This is what I took it for, maybe it's something you all took it for, but this is what I'm taking out of it, because this is, my last year, and I wanna help get you on your road to make your plea for next year when the capital goes in.
I like that. I would also like to, again, and I know that city council is discussing a new ballot proposal for new sales taxes coming up. And it's public, it's mostly for fire and police, but I think if we can get a fee step, that'd be great. I plan on attending that meeting. So I'm looking at, I'd love to fund the master plan, but the capital budget, if we had a separate source to do that, I would do that as well. So I think for mine, it's bigger, it's all encompassing. Master plan is very important. I think we need
Well,
that.
it's hugely
Yeah,
important,
and
and
so,
I think she's aware of it.
any way we can get money to fund that and other sources of Parks and Rec. And so I don't mind, I know you were passionate about, I'm passionate about it. I don't mind taking the lead. And then coming up next meeting with a proposed plan. And just for discussion, because I'll have it on there. It probably bent to my bias, but this is when I want everybody else's input. We can solidify it, figure out
Well,
what
we
we
can
want.
also identify like when this meeting's gonna be, you and I go. And see what we can get out of it, and maybe see what council's got as their report, so we can kind of see Because if it's just public, if it's just police and fire, good luck us getting any of it.
We can ask,
And, yeah,
can ask.
we're gonna need
Yeah.
your help. in that.
So I don't mind coming up with next month with a proposal, this is how I think we should go about it, and then we just, if everybody puts some input in and modify that and get buy-in, and then. We got 18 months, right, it's an 18-month plan to July of the
Well,
following.
you don't have to use the whole 18 months.
Right.
No, you're not gonna, because you're gonna be in budget
There
next
could be
year.
different phases in
Yeah.
this process, which is what you might end up coming up with.
Well, like what we are identifying.
Right,
Ooh,
and
ooh,
calendaring, because when does the city budget come out, because we need to,
Well,
time with that, the
next
capital.
year, you're gonna be working on it, they'll be probably at least February, I would
So,
think.
Do this.
so
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
commit to taking the lead, at least come up with a draft plan so we can discuss it. If
And,
that's fine.
and maybe we, if you don't mind, meeting with the public.
Oh,
works
no, not
director,
at all, absolutely not.
Because she is
I would plan
our,
on doing it,
she's the advocate for pushing it
I
through.
would plan on doing it.
And we are planning to take an updated work plan for council consideration in May. So it would be a good thing if we hear all the views next month.
Yeah, maybe we can meet with you.
Before the next commission meeting, yes.
Yes,
Okay, yeah,
Yes.
so my surgery's on the 2nd of May.
Okay, so then
Video,
before the.
yeah.
it's-
Yeah, video.
Patty,
Yeah, we can Zoom. I
Patty,
can't do, yes, sir.
can I talk?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have, is the lead person on the Arbor Day? Did we do that?
No,
You
no.
said staff does it.
I said staff takes the lead, but if there's a commissioner who wants to be involved in the planning process.
Well, only because I have a connection.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
I do.
Yeah,
Okay,
so-
what's your name down?
Yeah, and it'll be a way for me to get my feet wet.
You and,
Yes.
you and John,
Really literal.
Yeah.
you and John.
John knows Greg, so,
Yes.
you know, we already,
Nice.
yeah,
It's already established.
okay.
Does anyone
Use those
else,
connections.
wanna take the lead on anything that hasn't been mentioned yet? And it doesn't have to happen tonight, it can happen at the next meeting too.
Well, on citywide events, I mean, you let us know when we be there, or do you
Yeah.
want us to do the lead, or, we can just put all commissioners, because we all try to show up.
Yeah, historically,
Yeah,
everyone's attended it, usually at least one event throughout the course of
Yeah.
the calendar.
Oh, yeah.
take it.
And then you'll learn more about the story walk next week,
Oh,
or
okay.
not next week, I'm sorry, the next
Okay.
week.
Next meeting.
Yeah.
All right.
Story one.
So we do a presentation here. Is she gonna have like a,
Yes. She's got a
Slideshow kind of thing?
PowerPoint,
Perfect.
She's got some great visuals.
Yeah.
And again, she's gonna want input, but then also too, she'll be working with the city, working with Eva about in terms of locations. What's
Yeah.
appropriate, what's going to work, based on the design.
Is she the librarian that was hired, just a few years
She's
ago?
over for one,
Okay, thank you. She's dynamic.
yeah.
I met her.
found earlier.
Sandra
So is
Wong, okay,
Goal to be, for the story walk to be in one of our parks
yes.
then?
Yes,
Okay.
or on a trail.
Okay,
And the trail, theoretically could be the length, so
yeah,
it's some sort of, trail or park, either or. But again, so it'll be an opportunity for you to, explore different options. And then also what is realistic, what would work best based on what this project involves.
Okay.
I have one question, because I've been thinking about the site since when you told me, and we're talking about where we planted all the trees from the Tree City or Christmas Home. Do we know how long this needs to be yet, or Sandra's gonna tell us how?
Oh, the story walk?
Yeah.
There's there's different variations, like depending on the length of the story.
Yeah,
Some have more markers than others. I think a lot of this is probably based on their budget, since
Okay.
they're paying for it.
yeah,
So I don't know those specifics. Those are great questions for you guys.
yeah, and then if we did something in Christmas Hill, do we have to worry about, the encroachment upon the water areas?
Oh, everything.
Yeah,
And that,
but
and,
even if it's a pole, that sort of thing might be okay, right? Pole, there's already trailing going throughout there.
What do you mean by a pole?
Story pole. Yeah, there'd be a pole, there'd be a storyboard and all these
Okay, I've
locations.
never heard the word story.
Well, I mean, how else would you put it up?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
so what it looks like,
Yeah,
again, I don't wanna
Yeah,
dive too much.
you don't
into
need
it. She's
to,
gonna-
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I'm thinking that's sort of,
yeah, if you Google it, you'll see, exactly.
yeah, I mean, I'm a storyboard.
yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, wondering if we eventually pick that area, but we can discuss that, but I was always wondering about that.
Wait for her presentation,
Okay,
and then we'll take.
we'll do the next step.
subsequent steps, Yeah,
Please.
because we'll need input from the public works, you know, in terms of the engineering, in terms of what is the park impact. In terms of operational maintenance, you know, all of that stuff,
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
environmental impact. The whole gamut.
Mhm.
Okay. No public comment, there's no one from the public here.
So
it's-
have you gotten all the information from us that you really
I
need?
did, yeah, I wrote down names and comments, and then I'll update this for the next meeting.
Can I go off topic? I mean, it's about our parks and stuff.
Well, why don't you take permission?
Okay, or,
That would be the perfect
or our times, yeah, talk about our
Yes.
parks, okay.
Yes.
May I ask one question that I think is relative to work plan? You mentioned the VTA funding that we had tried to put towards the GIS. Is any funding to go towards the GIS from the VTA? Or is that all now off the table because of
So that's
exhaustion?
what the Measure B funding went to.
Okay, okay,
Yes,
okay.
that's what it's being spent on.
okay,
That's what's
there,
been
okay. I
depleted.
thought you said, all right, but I thought you meant like we didn't have any more to
No,
do anything.
no, after the GIS, after hiring the consultant
Yeah,
or contracting the consultant, that money now, from the Measure B fund has been exhausted.
okay.
So, I'm sorry, but I thought he's gonna finish the project. Are we gonna get the map with the?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
we are,
he
okay.
is.
And that money, so well, there's nothing gonna be left.
Okay, the
Okay.
money's gone after this project.
That is correct.
So if like you wanted to do bike bags or anything like that, that sort of
That's
is
not,
gone.
that's.
Okay, that's
there's no
fine.
money for that.
I'd like it to go to hard stuff, like that's what I wasn't sure about. Thank
And
you for
again,
clarifying.
remember, there's different pots of money in the Measure B.
Yes.
This is just education and encouragement.
Yeah,
There's a whole nother one for capital.
yeah. Well, and who handles capital is planning, correct?
No, Public Works.
Right there.
But the budget, I'm talking about the VTA budget, isn't the planning commission,
Remember, this is a Measure B funds.
right?
Very specific.
But didn't they have something when it came to budgeting capital, a component?
We do coordinate with VTA on the Measure B funds.
Right,
And we have inputs that they would consider when prioritizing projects.
okay,
And it's typically, assessed and recommendations are made at the TAC,
okay, great.
and I'm on the TAC.
Oh, great, great. Yeah, it's because I know we don't get all of decision input. Because planning commission gets part of it since they disbanded the bikes and ped. I think they probably told you all this, but yeah, I was wondering if there's a part they do that. You know, anyway, good, sounds like it's all covered. Great. Alrighty. So off of the review now and on to section 10, department updates, and 10.1, the recreation division updates. And I presume, Adam, that is you.
Yes, so in terms of the final 2 pages of your packets,
Tuesday.
final 2 pages, there you go. All the way to the end. There's, yep, that's it, it is. So it should be right here,
Sort of looks like the cover of that.
all the way, Doc, all the way.
That last.
My stuff is all messed up.
It's the only 2 colored pages,
You don't have an extra.
or maybe.
I got it,
Oh, you got it? Okay, so you should have
Thank you.
received the new recreation guide over the weekend. I received mine on Saturday.
Yes, I did.
Do that.
Okay, hopefully you had a chance to look through it.
I did.
If you recall, in the last edition, you were featured in it. In any event, so this was delivered, no, I just checked today, so we have this robust online registration system. The guide came out on Saturday, we actually sent an e-notification,
Right.
you should have received that as well on Thursday. And we have, generated over $20,000 in, summer registrations, most of which is for summer camps, which is lovely.
And you have the personnel to cover those?
Well, keep in mind, a lot of
Electronic.
those camps are contracted out, but yes, we're actually in the process of hiring summer camp leaders because one of the camps that we're bringing back is the Gilroy Gardens Summer Day Camp.
Oh,
Yeah, so we're gonna have volunteers, we're gonna have direct leaders, many of whom this will be their first job. And hopefully they'll stay with us for next year.
let me ask you this, are the people that participate, do they have to be Gilroy residents?
No,
They don't, so people can come from San Juan, or they can come from Morgan Hill, whatever.
or they come from outside city limits, so they
But-
have a Gilroy address, which is the most common, but they technically don't live within the city.
They're in the county areas,
Yes, and there is a $10 resident fee.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so lots of exciting programs for all ages,
Yeah.
all interests and all abilities. Youth Soccer League, it actually starting this Saturday, they already started practice, the first game is this weekend, although I did check the weather, it's supposed to rain, so.
It's in today, yeah.
There are
Not done yet.
52 registrations, it's actually 162 now.
Jeez.
So it's a much bigger increase than from the previous spring. We do contract it out with a outside vendor called Audax Soccer, they do a great job, they hire the referees, they chalk the fields. They work with our park staff to ensure that there's no gopher holes. Which
Those are
yeah,
dangerous.
creates problems. But Parks has been excellent in preparing the fields, so it's usable for our users. Fishability, this is a wonderful event. I encourage you all to just stop by. You don't even have to stay very long. Saturday, April 27th, this is for our special needs population. This event has been going on for decades. I've been going for the last few years and I really enjoy it. It's co-hosted with the Sportsman Chefs who get a grant, I believe it's from, one is from Gilroy Foundation, one is from the Rotary Club. And those funds are used to put on this event for our special needs where they teach them how to fish. And it's held at Nick Alpine Lake, which is only a 20-minute drive from.
Off of, in San Juan Bautista, is that
Yeah,
that area?
Yes,
Yeah, just
but
wanna-
before you hit the city.
Yeah. Just wanna add one more thing, another donor to that group was the Gilroy Elks.
Oh, okay, I wasn't
Yeah,
even aware of
because
that.
we had an Italian night dinner and we raised enough money, so we gave money to this event.
Okay, great,
Yeah.
yeah, and like I said, if you wanna stop by, please do, we'll have our adaptive staff there, I'm gonna be there for a few hours, lots of fun, and it's just great to not only have those participants with special needs, but also their families.
Yeah.
Okay, on the next page, I mentioned it just a few minutes ago, so we have our summer day camp at Gilroy Gardens is back. This is a program we have not had since prior to the pandemic, so this will, have been 5 years. But we are finally bringing it back. So the city has an agreement with Gilroy Gardens. In that agreement is that they will allow us to use the lodge, which used to be Michael Bonfante's, I guess, summer home. We use it during the summer as a base for our summer camp, so the participants are able to actually go into the park free of charge. And go on the rides, go on the water slides, and then one day a week, they go on a field trip. So they leave Gilroy Gardens, we have a school bus, that we contract out, and they go to either like Great America, they go bowling. They go to the Tech Museum,
Awesome.
places like that.
Are
So-
there scholarships for some of
Yes.
these families that are?
Yes,
Okay.
so we do have a youth scholarship fund where they could apply as much as $120 toward the fee.
What does that cost, Adam?
So it's $300 right now, and then it goes up to $350 in May.
It's per session, correct?
Per week, yes, it's an all-day camp. Now, it may sound like a lot,
All day
that's-
camp.
That's cheap
Okay.
for.
I will tell you, if
Daycare
you-
for 3 or 4 weeks.
yes, go online, go look up what a all-day camp costs these days, and it is probably starting twice as much.
What's
So,
the age?
the age
bracket?
range is first grade to sixth grade, so
Oh,
we will
wow.
take, yeah. And what we do is we split them up into two groups, so kids who are entering first through third, they'll be in, say, group A, and then, group B would be like the older kids.
Mhm.
And then, yes, they do come together at various different days, but we try to keep it age appropriate, for for everyone's.
Nice.
So we're looking forward to it. And like I said, staff right now is in the midst of hiring. We just had interviews yesterday. We have more applicants on Friday, and then a week from Friday, we have even more applicants. So if you know any, young people who are looking for like their first job, or their second job, this is a great opportunity.
What's the
It's just for
age?
the summer.
What's the age?
So they have to be at least 16.
Okay.
And there's no maximum, you know?
Oh, okay.
Most of the applicants are in either high school or they're going into college, some are already in college.
And how much you paying, just so I can,
So it starts at $16 an hour for those who
Wow.
have no previous work experience. Keep in mind, that's minimum wage. And then, it goes up to 21 an hour, assuming they have some experience and, they are in college.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It's how a lot of
It
them
really
will.
is.
So this is fun, though.
It's a
Yes,
lot of
it is. They're exhausted.
It's also how I got started.
Mm.
Many years ago.
There you go.
This weekend, rain or shine, and unfortunately, it's looking more rain than shine. We're hosting the Youth Commission is hosting, that's another commission, by the way, I work with, is the Opportunity Fair. So on their work plan, this is one of their work plan items. They have been organizing this all year, and it's going to be this weekend. And this is a fair where it's geared toward high school students. They can learn about the latest volunteer opportunities, job openings, and internships that are in Gilroy. And so we have about 20, well, we had 25, about 24 vendors that are gonna be there. We have the library, we have the city, we have Gap, we have Gilroy Gardens, we have colleges that are gonna be there. So all sorts of organizations, lots of nonprofits like Youth Alliance, Community Solutions, St. Louis Hospital, they'll be there. They all have either volunteer opportunities, job openings, or internship.
Thanks.
And so that will be going on. If it doesn't rain, it'll be in the Paseo, the plaza. If it does rain, it'll be at Wheeler, so. And then lastly, I just wanted to mention this, we did have to open up a warming center at the senior center during that last recent storm we had. So the senior center for the last couple of years has been used as a warming center, when the conditions meet a certain, I guess, a certain standard set by the county. And so that's not just happening in Gilroy, it's happening throughout Santa Clara County. So Morgan Hill opened one, they had one open in San Martin, and then of course we opened one. And this is in addition to the armory, so the armory is open year round, every night. But what happens is when the conditions are either too hot or too cold, or the rain is just a massive storm, they sometimes have too many people and they just can't allow everyone in there, so they'll send them to the overflow site, which is ours, and so
Oh,
we're
okay.
able to accommodate for a certain amount of nights. That
Great.
concludes the recreational report. Do you have any questions?
No, a lot of information, movement,
A lot going on.
not going on.
Next section is 2.2, the status of the city parks, and John, that's you.
So focus, the past month, we've been working on the, baseball fields, getting them ready. Do some maintenance, work on them for Little League. The few, sports park, we were working on the scoreboard, repaired the sound system has been repaired, scoreboards. A1 has been out for a very long time. Finally figured out that it was short in the innings panel, so that's been sent to be repaired. It works without it in there. If any panels plugged in, the scoreboard doesn't work. So without it, it works.
So
So
fun.
at least we've got it running now for A1. Let's see. Fountains have been repaired, they were down. Christmas Hill Park, installed a new, home plate. We've got thumb pads for the backstop, we're gonna be repairing, replacing pretty soon. New foul lines were installed at Christmas Hill Park in the outfield. And then Los Animas Park, also new foul lines. And we squared up, made sure we squared up the bases, some of the bases are all.
Oh, your problem.
Tree work, we've got tree work at, Christmas Hill Park, San Isidro Park, Robley, Sunrise, still. There's a tree down that we need to get to, and Christmas Hill Park, we've got some tree work scheduled. Some of the parks, no, San Isidro, it fell in the last storm, one of the big trees fell over the playground in the last storm.
At San Isidro?
Yeah, we've got the tree process, just some of the big rounds are set aside, we've got to pull those, but, and El Roble Park had one back there by the
Tennis courts?
tennis courts, so. Mainline repairs, we're catching up. Pretty much system wide. Got a few new ones now that we're keeping the water back on. It's been, limited because of the winter, we didn't really need the water. So we're finding stuff sounding like, ranch size, one I've got to check out here soon. Jet mulch, to replenish the playground bark. That contract's been finalized and moving through just for, approvals, so it should be scheduling that installation pretty soon at, 7 of the parks, mostly the ones that have the bark for their, play surface, roadway,
So it's play surface bark.
play surface bark, yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking about, you know, how I tell you every time for Del Rey Park, you know, the landscaping around the edges, it's like one
Mulch.
different, yeah, with the mulch.
Mulberry restroom, we finally got all the quotes in for the repairs there.
Oh,
The small restroom, not the new one.
Yeah,
okay.
We'll be pushing that one through pretty soon and then get that, repaired,
nice,
hopefully.
This is Christmas Hill.
right.
Christmas Hill. Then also Christmas Hill Park, the amphitheater, the amphitheater shade, canopy.
Yeah.
We are aware, we tied it up temporarily, we're looking at getting that replaced.
Okay.
Horse arena, the plantings have been completed by GB Landscape, working to get, assisting them and get the bark to spread around there. See, it looks really nice. We've got the water, everything's back on, so it looks really pretty. Dog park at Los Animas. We're working on starting the maintenance, doing some maintenance there. Plan was tomorrow. They're gonna start nail dragging to loosen the surface. Work on the drains that we've got some calls for that are clogged and separating the small dog and the big dog side, I guess the fence, the material below, so the dogs get into the big dog side, so we're fixing that this week.
Busy.
Los Arroyos, still turns into a leak, a lake, I'm sorry, when it rains really bad. We located the drain lines, we need to find, there's one in the sand pit that we need to run from, out to the street. We've tried to come from the street in, so we're getting closer to finishing that problem. There's also surface repair there that needs to be repaired.
Yeah.
Sunrise Park, we've been installing the bench slats that are missing. There's some benches there that aren't good. So those have been ordered and they're in. And then just upcoming, the memorial oak trees, the 4 that we need to plant, the memorial site are gonna sort of start planting those here in the next week or so.
At the Los Animas Memorial Site?
No, that,
Or where?
The
No.
Gilroy Garden.
The garlic festival.
Oh, okay.
And then, still looking into the contracts for the, concrete grinding not Forest, Rainbow, Carriage,
So there's lifting.
Casper, the lifting and the sidewalks.
Mhm.
And then we've got posting cable at, fencing at, Silva, Miller Park, and, Rainbow Park.
so that's good, so John, they're keeping that tree then at Mill.
Mhm.
Okay, that's good
Yeah.
news, okay, thank you.
So, yeah, and then that's kind of what we've been working on so far.
And when I went through the Christmas hill on the way here, kids are already in the water.
Yeah.
By the
all the time.
pipes, in the water, and there's no signage that say, don't go in the water.
I think there's also
yeah,
a-
there
There's a sign.
I
Where?
think it's
Not
further
by the
back.
road.
No, it's a little bit deeper into.
I think we need more.
If you come from the parking lot, there's a sign right there on the.
Yeah, but I think they're just jumping off from the concrete on the road and going that way.
It's like a
I just
pool.
think there
I
might be
think
a,
the sign's gonna stop them.
well, I know, but at least like in yellow that I'm going, hey, look at the sign.
Well, I'd
Get
be-
on the water.
I'd be more
That's what I
concerned if,
do.
if there was no sign and someone got hurt and
Well-
then tried to turn around and said, we didn't know.
you
And I
see-
live by there and there are always kids and I mean,
They're all-
water, a creek, I mean, what's not to like?
I
right?
just can't
And you don't
understand how
see parental,
Can we add another sign?
Yeah, we can have more.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just like,
I get
oh,
a lot of calls.
I'll bet you do.
From residents whose kids swim in there. That, are concerned with the people that fish in there.
oh, I haven't seen right there by, with the big dip.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, the fish all through that.
I haven't seen, oh,
There's
interesting.
a-
Catch anything?
Yeah, there isn't a city code against fishing, but there is against swimming,
Oh,
but I'm
wow.
not sure because that creek is also valid water, so.
But I don't think it was.
Is that the one that goes out to, Highway 24 when you're going towards Hollister? Is that like one of is that salmon in that? There's not salmon in that creek.
Steelhead,
Yeah.
it goes out to Pajaro.
Pohara, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
one of the 3 creeks or something that do that.
But, you know, as a parent, my kids are all grown, but it's like, how can you let your kids in that rancid looking water?
Because when you see water and you don't have a pool, you don't have access to it, it's just
I'm
kind of like
sorry.
this.
Your kids are gonna
Temptation.
get sick. I don't know, dogs get sick. I mean, I see stuff all the day. Oh, this water. is
I
bad
think
for your dog.
signage,
Alright.
Yeah, I know.
Focus.
Oh, yeah,
The
City parks,
residents that
whatever.
have a use that
all right.
street.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. I know, sorry.
You do your
Commissioner
part?
Park reports and comments. So the first of the, Commissioner Park assignments is me. I've been gone for the last 9 days and I just got back last night, so I really haven't spent a lot of time, but I ran through, Sydney Casper, because it's right by my house, and also Delray. So, you know, it's still the same things at Delray, you know, when that stuff gets done for the lift, when you do the cement work. I'm glad to see the Lake Luigi got a little better with the rain, because I think you have found some of the drainage for when it gets under there. So, and then just, you know, when we do get mulching available for the outside, I think it's gonna be helpful, look better. But I think everything other than that is looking better at Delray. Friends Park is pretty straightforward, not a lot going on there. And Sydney Casper looked fine for my drive-by. I didn't go into the park just because I just did not have the time since I've been back home. And, yeah, well, there's mine. Sam goes.
Okay, Carriage Hills. So I went to Carriage Hills and there were pretty balloons and little kids playing. And so I drove around and then I got to the U-turn. And then this lady is coming towards me and I'm going, gee, it would be good if I had a shirt. Now I'm gonna get a shirt. Yeah. I didn't want to give them the wrong idea. So then she's smiling at me and then I find out it's Tammy Vickroy, who's Tammy and Pat, they worked in the school district for
Forever.
years. And it was her granddaughter that was having a birthday party. So I said, yeah, I'm on the Park and Rec Commission. Oh, good. Could you ask this question? Is there a way that we can make a reservation here? Because now it's first come, first served.
At that park, we don't accept reservations, so it is first come, first served.
But the other parks do, like Miller Park does that.
Miller Park, Christmas Hill Park, Los Angeles.
Yeah, okay.
How do people know that they need to reserve?
Well, it's online, so if
Mhm.
the park is listed on, if the picnic area, so they're not renting the park, let's say, they're just renting
It's
usually
just
a picnic
picnic
area.
area.
I understand that,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But if they're not sure, often they'll call or they'll email us.
I mean, we don't have signage like, you know, check with the city, these are reserved spots or anything like that.
There is
Well,
that-
if they're
there is that
reserved, the
sign.
city goes out and puts the reserve.
Yeah.
Right, at that
yes.
moment in time.
But in
they're
that case,
reserved,
it's
but-
first come, first served.
Right,
For
In
not
most of
at
the
the
parks.
the picnic
not
area.
if it's
Yeah.
reserved, they're reserved and somebody doesn't know it's reserved, yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
that's a problem.
And
But
then,
there's some signage usually there.
Yeah, that's.
I went to El Roble and, I noticed the two tennis courts there and that one is in worse
Yes.
condition than the other one.
Yeah, they don't use it.
And I don't think they get.
It's all roots, the roots are all cracks out there.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah,
that's one we talked about early on for a possible pickleball site. I think we found out it'd be at least 80,000 up to 200,000.
Is that right?
Yeah, and, with the residents being right
Right
there,
there, yeah.
they've never picked up on the idea to make it pickleball.
So while we're on that
And noise.
topic, I think it is a liability to the city. If somebody walks through there, trips on those boots coming down and falls down.
But there's a fence around it.
Yeah, but the fence is open, you can walk through there.
Yeah,
Well.
Yeah.
So I'm just concerned, that's just my input,
Maybe
it's
take
happened
that
so
for a
far, so-
liability issue, John, and if you have to put something temporary up there, you
I've
do it.
been involved.
It's been
Yeah,
like that for years, yeah.
oh, yeah, it has been, but
okay, Miller Park, I found that there are five, restaurants there and they were all locked.
Yes.
So my understanding is that you only do that on special events,
Yes, so,
You said it's
so
open.
someone is renting a picnic area,
uh-huh,
park staff will unlock it
okay,
for that event.
yeah,
Otherwise, they remain locked.
they remain locked.
And that did start a few years ago during the pandemic. We were having lots of issues
Yeah.
with those restrooms. And as you've seen what's happened at Los Animas, Gilroy Sports Park, Christmas Hill Park, the vandalism has just been rampant. And there was an agreement that it's just, those restrooms don't need to be available on an everyday basis.
Yeah. Okay, and, the other thing is, I noticed the garbage cans at each of the picnic sites, and there, I think I remember counting 8 or 10, or, there's quite a few. But if it's a large group, then it seems to be overflow. And then what do we have, the staff to come in the next day, like on a Mother's Day or Easter Sunday or things like that? Do they come in the next day and clean up when there's overflow? Is there a way for you to know that?
So the reservations are communicated
Oh, okay.
also to Jensen, the contractors who.
Yeah,
Clean the trash cans, so they see big reservations, they'll schedule a cover.
great, okay.
And just to the point of reference, if the area is found by either Jensen or by our own park staff to be not reasonably clean,
Uh-huh,
we will take it out of their deposit. So they do have a financial incentive
oh,
to,
good idea.
to at
Oh,
least,
okay.
keep it reasonably
yeah,
clean.
Okay.
So that the garbage is actually in the garbage can and it's not
Okay.
just.
great. Okay, that's it.
Okay,
Okay, well, I'll start with,
wait, I have a doc.
oh, I'm sorry. I was going down, down, down.
Never. Okay, so I too have been out of town for about 2 weeks. I had my best friend from college got in a really bad automobile accident and I went to Sacramento to assist him, but I did make my way around the parks, at Forest Avenue. The lawns and the grounds look terrific. They're so green. There's a large gnarly looking blanket, draped over the fence around the little kids' stuff. I don't know where it came from, but it's been there. around where the little climbing things that the kids have, the little platforms and the little spiral steps.
Is that still forest?
Yes.
Okay.
Lots of peeling and rust on those metal steps. Just, it's aesthetic, cosmetic, but it's also, you know, eventually it's gonna create the wear and tear. Might bust through, I mean, it's just something to take a look at. Hecker Pass, thank you, John, again, for fixing that tree. The trees do look good, and then now that we've had, as Pat and I were talking, I mean, as Terry and I were talking about, now that it's rained, the lawns look great, and they were mowed. I guess a couple, 3 days ago, cause they looked, when I came back, they were really freshly mowed, looked really nice, green. I did wanna, ask, and I don't know, I mean, if we're just talking about conditions, that's about it for there, but I do wanna, say that, some of the things that we talked about doing at that park are now starting to be grumbled about, because we talked about doing a couple of those other things toward the beginning of the year. And,
What things?
moving that garbage can away from the bench,
Oh, you're talking about the dog park.
the dog, yeah, I'm talking about Hecker Pass Park,
You're talking about the poop area?
yeah.
Okay.
And, and then extending that water inside so that there's a spigot for. And then benches, those were really the big three. You know, they wanted, their shade structure was on the list, but I know that's probably not as feasible as some of the others.
Well, we don't
Yeah.
have the money right now. I think we exhausted the money yet or not?
Well, we should know if the Google donated the trees, and we haven't really done any of the other list items.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I know, I'd like to think that as a group, that we follow up.
Yeah.
On our commitments, at least as much as we can. I don't expect that we have, you know, money's not falling off the trees and, you know, John's short-staffed, I get all that, but I'm just letting you know, if emails start pouring in, that's probably why. Cause I know that there were some commitments, or at least some, I don't wanna say promises, but I know that we said, yeah, toward the beginning of the year, we'll continue with this list.
Yeah.
And,
Well, we've had a lot of rain, so, but yeah, now it's hopefully starting to lessen,
Yeah.
although maybe not this weekend.
so I'm just, that's just an add-on to my Hecker Pass report. That's it for me on
Docs, there are no benches out there, or there are?
There are
benches?
2 benches, they have no backs on them, there's 2 benches, one of them sitting right next to a crap bucket, it's just awful. And the other one just stands alone, and it's, I mean, it's getting really busy out there now.
So maybe now's the time to put some more benches in. And if they do, were we planning shade structures, like some poles coming up with, I don't know, something over the top of them?
We didn't really discuss any structural elements, just that it was on the wish list.
Yeah.
But I mean, we called moving that bench away from the thing, we called that low hanging fruit, so
Yeah.
I think that's something.
And going back to money, I mean, we did get $100,000 that's supposed to be spent 50,000 per year over 2 years. I thought that's part of the money is gonna go towards that, so I don't know where that is or what happened with that.
Yeah.
You guys follow up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Report back.
wanted to
Because we haven't seen
readdress
any-
it, that's all.
That's a good idea.
They technically approved it for improvements, they, again, but let me see if we can, what the status is.
Because some of it
could
can
be,
go-
it could have been applied to other parks.
Well, could have been less dogs parks though.
Sure, but
There was only dog parks, I thought.
So we'll
No,
wait,
I think they approved, I think they had,
no, it was not,
I think it was
pretty
just park
broad.
improvements, it was
Okay.
park
Yeah,
improvements.
so,
But John, did you?
Yeah. The dog, the poop,
Bench, poop bucket.
can by the.
But yeah, adjacent to the
bench,
bench,
we-
yeah.
We're still planning to move it, and, the water spigot, we're a little bit unsure, cause, I've talked to some folks about plans of moving the fence around the water
Well, the
thing, and
The
then,
thing is that we had it, if we put it in under the fence, the design of the spigot is. Mainly is the main problem, because they can't even get a small bowl under that little thing at the bottom right now. So the idea was just to have something that just stems up and has some clearance below it. So when they turn on the faucet, they can fill something up without like bailing it in there, that's what they're doing right now.
would they not use the water bowl that's at the bottom of the fountain? Or how the fountain is designed?
Well, yeah, but it's outside the fence and the dogs they run around, they stop and we have buckets out there for them to drink out of, because it's just, because they consume so much water.
Right.
That
was what, where we're stuck on whether we do put the fence, we go through the effort to move the fence around. Would people use the fountain that's designed for the dogs to drink out of, or, do we just put a spigot there and leave the fountain on the outside?
That's,
Where it should be, because.
that's
one,
the
we're
thing,
moving
because,
concrete, the other, we're putting a fence around the concrete.
well, the thing is that half the people that use that thing don't go inside the gate. They don't go inside the park. There are people that walk their dogs on the bike paths and along that frontage by the creek and stuff. So it creates a problem for them if it's inside there, then the people have to go through the double gates, and a lot of people don't like to mix their dogs with the dogs inside. It's just a dog thing, I guess,
If we're going to go through the efforts and cost of shifting the fence, how difficult would it be to add another one within at an appropriate height?
Another fountain.
Mhm.
Probably have to put a pad, we'd have to put a concrete pad for it. So there's a. it's a
pretty
little
small,
bit
I would
involved.
think. A
Yeah.
foot by a foot maybe.
Boy, if you make it by a foot, you're gonna create mud around it, so it's best to have a pad where you can actually. walk.
That's true. Yeah, that's,
Otherwise you could cause more issues, so we probably have to put a pad 4x4. And then form an inch of the pad and put a new cloth, another fountain, so. That's another thing, adding a spigot there. Is free flowing spigot that either we put it on a pad or. We're gonna make the mud bowl there too, every time you fill it, and spill water, fill it and fill water. That's why we were. Trying to lean towards taking the fence and just. Put it around the pad that's there, maybe get a double side and change the fountain to have. Like a tea fountain where you got a fountain on the outside and a fountain.
That sounds great. I was thinking that idea. That sounds great.
So. Looking into that. Options that makes more sense.
Yeah.
sounds like you really thought about it. Really
Yeah.
aware of it.
We've been looking through different ideas, kind of just, not to just put
A faucet or spigot or just.
add on
adding
to
more.
something and then cause another problem, but try to do the best for both worlds. 'Cause
Yeah,
That's absolutely right, half the people do walk the trail. why come in and
I never said that, but the trail people.
open the door and close the door,
Mhm.
mix the dogs, when the dog
Crazy.
mix it up.
Yeah, I like the idea of a two-headed. In my own backyard, I got it where I got a two and I can shut the vent off on one side when I'm doing the other side, so it's kind of like nice, but that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, Doc doesn't have Christmas on Ranch like you do, right?
I have Christmas Hill, yeah.
Okay, cause
already
it's
get-
listed on his too, so
I think
we,
we both,
We do, and I just, but again, I didn't get over there because I was
it's a
out
big,
of town.
I was over there,
most
I
of
have
the-
Christmas Hill too. so-
and I drive through it, so we all three help you out. Okay, so, so Doc, you're finished, right?
Yeah, and just that one, that, there is that drain at Los Animas I mentioned to you, I think last
The
week.
dog park, yeah,
At Los Animas, yeah, there's a big clogged drain. It's been that way for a while.
in the dog park,
Between the small dog and big dog.
there, so that's a French drain, it doesn't have an outlet, So- especially when it's been raining, they take water in that French drain anymore, so the water doesn't.
Mhm.
But, we're looking into that this week, cleaning out as much as we can, but you're gonna get to a point where it goes into the ground in a pit in the middle.
You're welcome.
John, I've wondered this, can we email you with pictures and things that we have, or do you?
Yeah.
So I don't think I have your email address.
I'll email it out.
Okay.
It's his first name, dot, last name, city name.
Right, should I finish up with this park thing?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't even know where I am. At Farrell, John, and I've never seen, you know, that little patch of grass over there. Farrell has, a full garbage can, which I've never seen before, and the only reason I noticed it is the garbage can's green, and there's a big blue bag sticking up from it, and I just thought, oh, I don't want anybody poking at it. So do you know where the health department is right there?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, okay, then that's Farrell Park, right, that
the big lot.
that big lot of grass. But it's the one that faces, what is that, street? Can't even think.
Run.
Hickory?
Ren, is it Ren? I think it is.
On the school side?
Yeah, it is Ren. So it's just a garbage bag, and I've never seen that garbage can full, so it just caught my eye. It's not a big deal, but just so you know. And then I've got, rainbow always looks good. And if we were ever gonna do shade, huh?
Tree is.
Oh, yeah, and then I was at Christmas Hill Park, and I was surprised that more eucalyptus trees didn't come down with all the bad winds and stuff like that. But there's a couple of them as you go towards the back where, the grass is, like you drive all the way into the park, and then the bigger baseball,
Major
park is right there, and then there's the grass, so the trees are up against, if you will, the banking of the creek.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some of those eucalyptus just are getting wonky, I mean, they're coming up and kind of this way, and just an observation,
Yeah, no, we had one that failed a few years ago, remember, it hit a PG&E line?
okay? And there was one down too already that I saw falling down on the edge, I think you guys probably picked it up and would you have pushed it over to the, not into the creek, but,
Oh, it was, a couple months ago.
okay, and
The
I.
one that we chipped and all
Oh.
the way, yeah.
Okay, Christmas Hill looked just looked fabulous on both sides. I was on the soccer side, and I don't normally go around 4 o'clock, or there were girls softball going on, there were little tykes over there on the other side, soccer playing, and it was just wonderful. There was a lot of adults. It was really nice to see Christmas Hill being used, and so that I felt real good about that. I know there's something else that I was gonna tell you. I
Well,
can't
the
think of.
sprinklers were on, and when I went by here shooting through there.
Okay, so I was-
5:55, and I thought, that's a weird time for sprinklers to be on.
Well-
And plus the kids were playing on the field.
Still, because
Yeah.
when I went at 4, they were still playing, so, yeah, are those all are those reserved areas? for
The
the
one
kids?
that he talked
Yeah,
about.
it's
that club.
either a rec class or it's a private user group. I'm trying to think, today is Tuesday, I think it's ours.
Okay, and then one last thing, and I don't think it's our preview at all, but there's a motor home parked, so as you're driving through,
Which part?
Christmas Hill
Christmas
Park,
Hill.
sorry. And on the right
Almost
side
where
where
they
the
took
kids,
that tree down?
so you're on the street and, the park, this trailer, this RV is parked right on the side there against the fence and.
Inside the parking area.
Oh,
No,
outside on the
on the street, yeah.
Miller?
If you go down, you come
Yeah.
cross over and yep, and there's where they would get, it's right before you turn into the barn side, that entrance, yeah. There, I know, I've never seen an RV park there.
Well, it's moved.
Okay, cause you drive
I
that
drive
way.
it all every day, and so here it's here where almost where they took the last tree down,
Okay,
and then now it's
If it
moved
moves,
again.
well, wait, I know they moved, but I've just never seen,
Well, I've
Down
seen
there.
how far kind of like look by it, it's got a bar.
During the day,
what's that?
sometimes the park inside.
That makes
during the
sense.
day.
Yeah, this was outside, you know.
But-
That was weird.
Sometimes they'll be in there, the security guards will kick them out of the park.
Well, it's kind of creepy too, when you have kids around playing and stuff like that. That's just me, sorry.
No,
That
I
can go off the
totally
record.
agree.
Okay, but nope, you know what? Every park I go to, and I go to a lot of them. The green grass, the water has just made such a difference, but they're all still really maintained and all the bushes and everything are just really taken care of, so thank you. And to the whole group of, the workers, people. It's really
Okay,
beautiful.
so, and you got them all, right? Close to us, okay? And next one is Luis.
Gilroy Sports Park is stunning. I mean, the ball
Mhm.
fields look fantastic. To go there and look at the green hills in the background,
Yes.
that's a really good park.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Really good park. Really beautiful park. San Isidro, I walked there this afternoon, being used, saw the tree that you have all the major rounds all cordoned off, but it looks, it's good. you know,
I think it's
That way is good shape. Las Animas, the only thing I noticed about Las Animas is, against the private fence line. Behind one of the fences, there's these three iron, well, two are plastic iron poles sticking out that looks like it's city property. And I don't know if they put them there, and it doesn't cause a big risk, but, you know, they're, somebody get hurt if somebody falls down and hits those things, so they come out of the ground about this high.
Is
It's,
that, by the ball field?
it is, so on the, west side of the ball field, the west side, if you walk along the fence line past the, you know, you go past, you're heading east past the tennis courts, you start walking on the back trail. So the private fence line, there's this one fence right around the middle between Dog Park and the tennis court. There's and this fence has a couple, pieces of board trying to hold the fence up. But outside of that, there's these three, two of them look PVC and two look like they're iron. That are just sticking out of the ground.
City property?
I think it's city property, it's outside the fence line, so I'm just imagining it's city property, so that's a potential hazard, I think. That's the only thing I noticed there, and the Gilroy Sports Park, the drain by the water fountain on Field A1 is clogged. So it pulls, right, the water fountain right by, A1,
Water, is it on the grass?
it's on the cement.
Oh,
It's
right
got-
there on the corner?
Yeah, it's got the drain right there in the cement, and it just pulls in. But that was, that's all I noticed, they look fantastic.
Anything on Richard?
I want to appreciate you, John.
Pictures there.
Richard's there.
I just want to say, for kind of being relatively new, I mean, you really know
He's
the parks. Yeah, you know the parks. I mean, when we say something, you even know what we're referring to. It's a problem you guys have already located and stuff. So I want to thank you.
Thank
It's
you, Terry. Yeah,
really
I
great.
let the guys know that it's, got a great team.
Yeah.
You know what? And they are so nice when you walk or ride your bike, the guys always pull trucks over for the walkers, the bicycle riders. And then if they recognize somebody, they'll stop, yeah, you know, say something. Yeah, they're great.
Our breakfast program works. It does, because they, hey, how you doing? They see me at Sydney all the time, so. I just want to let you know too that, I'm on the oral board tomorrow.
Oh, oh, no, here.
Yeah, all day.
Oh, yeah. I'm,
I don't know if it's for your group, but it sounds like it's for
yeah,
everybody.
yeah. for the main-
Interviews?
Yeah.
I'm actually a rater for, Los Gatos' practical exam tomorrow. So
Oh, okay.
that's- Wait, you're going to Los Gatos too?
No, I'm going to Gilroy, but I'm all there all day.
Yeah,
So anyway, Okay, so that's all for our reports, and next is staff comments. Whoever,
I don't have anything.
you don't. How about you?
Yeah, welcome.
Okay, and you?
Just a thought when you, I know this is already going back to pickleball, just thank you for your thoughts, but, when you look at places, think of, I would think of pickleball at a place that might, improve a park. So if,
Nice.
Miller Park's got a lot of problems with bathrooms, maybe something that gets more attention. Might fix that, just like, Christmas Hill Park during baseball, we get a lot less graffiti, just cause it's a lot of action.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
just a thought when you guys are considering places.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Well, that's, or finally get some development, that's what I was thinking, Barrel Park. There's nothing except those 6 trees that we planted and got something there and, you know.
But when you look at that area, that was originally, that was there because Antonio Del Bono,
Yeah.
the elementary school moved, and the district thought the population would pop out there. And it just didn't, and all that land across from that is all county land, and it's just feral, if you will, ha ha ha. And, so it's never, it's nothing, and then there's just a few homes right by that big lawn, I mean, that's one I see, and it's always really quiet. Like, you don't see people out.
Well, you
Or
have,
anything,
you
so-
have a series of low income apartments that need some
No,
activity.
those are further down, those are on the other side of Del Bono.
Sorry,
So, yeah,
okay,
yeah, so no, I wouldn't say invest in feral.
so, but I hear you,
The birds like feral.
Just thought with, listening to you guys.
yeah, yeah. Okay, next one, future commissioner initiated items. I'll start with one item that I talked to Adam about, that the Red Barn wants to come back for a longer presentation for us. Okay, so we will do that sometime,
Is that,
to give us more education about it. And, the things that they're wanting to see happen out there that may need some of our help.
and how long is the presentation?
I would say maybe 20 minutes. So they want a lot of part, and I talked to Adam.
I
about
would just do it in an item, we don't have a really full agenda.
Yeah,
probably.
yeah,
No,
yeah, but sometimes you don't know when you're gonna have it. Anyway, so that's mine. Does anybody else have any other items? Okay, then that's it. Then I say we're adjourned at 7:59. Boom, made it under.
All right. Thank you, that's just like a lot of stuff.
Oh, yes, they would have been happy.